Hi friends, I'm Natalie Carey. I'm a certified women's fitness and corrective exercise specialist. And today my friend Nicolette Amarillas is joining me to talk about on-screen fitness coaching.
Yeah, if this is something you're looking to get into, or maybe you've tried and you're not feeling comfortable, we're here today to offer you a few tips that we think are gonna make a big impact.
Yep. If you're in fitness and you're thinking about spending more time on video, applying to companies that are doing connected fitness, we're gonna be talking about how you can improve your skills and also just giving a little bit more insight into what goes into a performance on camera. If that interests you, make sure you like this video, subscribe to our channels. I will share Nicolette's channel in the comments below. She's got a ton of videos on her channel on postural assessments, postural corrections, deep dives into movement form, like
form, technique, mobility.
Library right here.
Brains exploding,
Brains
so follow.
Exploding all over the place. Follow, like, subscribe, share. We've both filmed with Tonal, and I've also filmed with a company called Start Moving and recently filmed with Fitbit. And I've worked in environments where there's an entire crew behind the scenes. I've also worked with a crew where it was just one person and me filming content.
Yeah, so I also worked on Tonal, which at some point was 2 or 3 people on set and worked up to 20 plus people on set, which can be a very different environment, but a lot of what we're teaching you today doesn't matter, even if you're at home alone.
We've both experienced what it's like to just have a camera and a mic, and then worked our way up to using teleprompters and in-ear director and a screen that shows you your script points or your timer, like having to juggle a lot of different things at once.
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing to realize when you're going into on-camera work is really making sure you understand the environment you're gonna be in, of course. So we're talking about having a whiteboard as your notes, or having an actual multi-screen and multi-camera environment where someone's talking to you in your ear and you're also reading a teleprompter and also trying to be fun, cute, and entertaining and helpful, and also a coach to keep you safe. So
I think that brings us to our first point, which is energy on screen is very different to energy when you're coaching somebody one-on-one in person. I think personal training is a really demanding job. Anyone who's working a full day of personal training is gonna come home really tired because you are exuding a lot of energy with your clients. But the concentration of that energy is different. When I'm working one-on-one with somebody, I'm looking at their form, I'm thinking, what's gonna be the best cue to give them? What angle do I need to get at to see what I need to see? Where are we going to next in the gym? What injuries does this person have? Are they pre or postnatal? Just trying to remember everything that I need to about that one person who's in front of me.
And there's a lot of listening.
Yes.
And you're actually not talking as much.
Yeah.
Not nearly as much. You're watching and listening.
You're watching
a lot of the time.
Maybe having some light conversation with them. Yeah, so your energy's a lot different. When you're filming on screen, all of your energy is directed at 1 or 2 or 3 lenses, and things are more exaggerated. You have to be a little louder, a little bit more excited.
You're you plus another 10 or 15%.
Right, you're you plus. So when I'm on screen, I am trying to mentally juggle a lot of things. I naturally speak very fast at a very high pitch, so I have to work really hard to lower my voice, talk a lot more slowly, and still exude a lot of energy and excitement. I'm thinking about what my director or producer is telling me in my ear. I'm trying to remember all of the branding points that the company I'm working for
things you're allowed to say or not say.
Things I'm not allowed to say, exactly. I'm trying to think of what camera am I supposed to face when I'm doing this exercise? Do I need to place this equipment in a certain position? You're thinking about a lot of different things during that moment on screen than you are when you're in person with somebody.
And as far as energy goes too, and I think you bring up a really good point, is more energy doesn't mean louder. It's definitely not volume. And that's something I think both Natalie and I had to learn, and it takes a long time to realize that you can bring energy with a smile and with your eyes. It doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't be hey guys, that's not bigger energy, that's louder energy. More intentional energy would be smiling in the right phases of a conversation, right? And giving people that energy even though they're not in front of you. So speaking of energy, one of my bigger tips or things that I see that I think would be really helpful for anyone trying to get on camera is understanding that there is big and positive energy, but there's also nervous energy. And you've probably noticed this on yourself. If you've ever filmed yourself before at home, maybe you look at the footage after and you're like, something doesn't feel right. It's usually because you're exuding that nervous energy through your body and through your words. This can look like a few things. For me, the biggest thing that I see and that I still deal with, I'm not perfect on camera, are the extra words.
Yeah.
The ums, the so's, the let's. This could look, yes. So this will
all rights, the nice,
the all rights and the nices. I'm guilty of all of these, but definitely the all rights and the nices. So this might look like, let's say you're getting into an exercise and you want to help them get into a plank. A lot of the time, those filler words might be, so now we're gonna get into a plank. Instead, you could just say, let's get into a plank, or
you can say, come down to the floor into a plank.
Hands on the floor, it's time to plank, right?
Yes.
These are more direct ways to speak to someone through the camera.
And I think a great way to practice this if you're coaching people in person is noticing when you're putting extra words into your instructions. How can I give this form cue with the least amount of words? That's
Totally.
a really great way to practice even when you're not on camera.
Yeah, and another way you can see this nervous energy is little things. Clapping,
Yes.
especially in an intro. Hey guys, what's up? The nervous energy is coming through your body, which is normal. You're on camera and it can be really uncomfortable. What I do instead is I'm someone who talks with my hands. We can see that here, right? So I try to actually think about what I'm expressing, and especially when I'm coaching, I use my physical form as a way to help coach. So let's say I'm talking about a straighter spine for a deadlift. Instead of, clapping and doing all these other things with my hands, I actually use my hands and my body as a way and as a portion or a piece of my coaching. That helps me use my body without making it nervous energy, and also makes it really helpful for the viewer and for the person working out.
I think too, if you are trying to explain something, it's great to just talk through what you're doing. I'm placing my feet hip distance apart. I'm grabbing the barbell at this width. We're putting our hands at our shoulders. That's a good way to cut out extra words and also not feel like you have to fill the time with something.
And that's another piece of it.
Just talk about what are you doing in the moment.
You'll want to fill the dead air.
You will.
But don't. Let there be some quiet.
Let's just sit here in silence for a minute. Great. The other thing I wanted to talk about was preparation for doing a video, either by yourself or if you are working with a crew. It will definitely depend on the environment that you're filming in.
Yeah.
Some crews are gonna expect you to have memorized certain pieces of script, or they might expect you to be ready to read off a teleprompter. So either be able to memorize talking points or know how you're going to approach reading a script on a screen. I like to make notes about what I'm gonna say during each set, this side of this exercise. Okay, I'm gonna remember to give them this form cue. I will also run through all of my talking points on my own multiple times before I show up to a studio.
I mean, everyone's going to be different.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, we've worked alongside other coaches who did not need nearly as many notes as us.
That's true.
Everybody is different, but that doesn't mean they're not prepping, they're just prepping in different ways. I think what Natalie is speaking to as well is memorization can be really hard. So if you're someone like me, I'm not very good at memorizing. I've never been in a career like acting where I've needed to memorize, so that muscle hasn't been practiced very much. So notes are very important for me. Now I've gotten better at memorizing because of this job and this career, but it's not something that comes to me easily. So I take a lot of notes, and that's definitely how I prepare. I am also someone who every set it's usually a keyword or a small key phrase that's gonna trigger the idea of what I wanna talk about, and then what I talk about is very natural and off of the cuff. It's not scripted, but I'm kind of giving myself clues.
Yeah.
And just like like little sparks of inspiration through
definitely.
a workout, which really helps because then it keeps it natural, but also keeps you like kind of on a schedule, or at least keeps you a little bit more in line with like what the goal of the workout is and what you want to talk about.
Yeah. What are your tips for people? We got each a tip.
We have each a tip. This is my number one tip, especially because coaching is so important for me as far as form and technique. It's what I do. It's my bread and butter. For me, when I'm on camera, one of the best tips I ever got from one of our producers was to think like your client, whoever you're teaching through the camera, is blindfolded. So if you think about that right now, if someone you're coaching is blindfolded, that means you have to walk them through the process of everything that you're doing. Also, you're gonna make it very clear and concise. You don't want to give them all the filler words, right? You want to get them into their plank, like we talked about before. Get them into their deadlift. So if we were to do that now, right? And you imagine closing your eyes and I would coach you to walk up to a barbell to do a deadlift. It would be, okay, bar is going to be right in front of you. Feet hip distance, toes are forward. Feet are parallel. Make sure the shins are just touching the bar. Grab your hands right outside of the legs. Pull the shoulders down and back, and so on, right?
That was so good.
Imagine they can't see anything.
So much practice and skills to do what Nicolette just did. And I think this is also a really important skill to remember, because if somebody's watching a video of you, they often cannot see you. Like if they're down on the floor ready to do an exercise, they can't see the screen. And so you need to be able to tell them what to do while they can't see you. They need to know what is the tempo of this exercise when they're not looking at you, when they're faced away from the screen. Yeah, so that is one of the best cues I think either one of us has ever received.
Yeah,
I would also say, I think it's so important to practice videotaping by yourself. I have definitely been approached by personal trainers who want to get into on-screen coaching, but they don't videotape themselves, they don't use social media, they don't practice it all on camera, and I think that's honestly like the worst position that you could put yourself in if you're trying to get into this line of work, because if you are going to be in front of a camera crew of people who are all professionals at critiquing what you're doing and you're under a spotlight, you have to be able to sit in comfort talking to a camera by yourself.
And pretending someone is there.
And pretending that somebody is there, exactly. And the hardest thing is going to be watching yourself on those takes. You need to be comfortable with the fact
it's uncomfortable at first.
It is very uncomfortable.
Because you'll see the nervousness that we talked about before.
You're going to see
be cringy.
But that's how you improve, is watching yourself on camera. So that's my biggest tip, is make sure that you're practicing
so important
on your own, and put out content onto your social media channels, even if it's not perfect. Like, just put it out there. Be a little uncomfortable on what you're like putting out into the universe.
I learned the most.
You're just gonna get better.
Yeah, and I learned the most from watching my old content. Like watching it and seeing it. Oh, why does that look uncomfortable? Oh, because I felt uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So watching yourself back, it's very enlightening, and it's a huge, huge way to progress faster than you would think, for sure.
Yeah, please know that anybody who is doing this on screen, we have been terrible on camera at some point.
There's plenty BTS behind the scenes of us not being that cute.
It's out there. Yeah. Nicolette, thanks so much for doing this video. I loved your insight so much. If you liked this video, please like, comment, share it with somebody who's interested in this industry. Also, if you have experience in this line of work, I would love to hear what your experience or your tips have been.
Yeah.
I'm Natalie Carey.
I'm Nicolette Amarillas.
Thanks for being excellent to yourself today.